wanted to show the time tracker plus billing and answer any questions that you have. So if you have any kind of deep questions that you want to ask, that's fine. And time and billing is very similar, so you'll be getting chats for time and billing some of the time, also if we're not logging in ourselves for chats. So this account here is a time tracker plus billing plus legal, and that I'll highlight here, and that is pretty much the same as time and billing. Time and billing has all the legal stuff in it. So this is an account that I use when I do webinars. Every other Thursday, I do a webinar for this product, Time Tracker plus Billing plus Legal, without QuickBooks. Actually, without QuickBooks. So this has QuickBooks, but I am not actually connected right now to QuickBooks. So you don't see any QuickBooks logo at the top or Intuit logo at the top of my screen. You don't see anything sync with QuickBooks. I could actually do this if I wanted to. I could just go ahead and cancel my integration, just like that, and that would take away the QuickBooks feature. Actually, it should have got taken away here. I don't know why it didn't. So let me see this. Yeah, so I'll have to find out from VJ's team, but that should have been taken away. Let's just take a look at the manage screen. This is not clicked here, so I'll find out. Maybe if I log out, log in. Actually, let's do that. I'm just curious to see. I could have just did switch firm. Okay, so now it's gone. All right, so it's actually taken away here, and I'll just let VJ know to update that as soon as a firm disconnects from QuickBooks. But now it's gone. So you see it's time tracker, billing, legal, and no QuickBooks, and I wasn't even connected to QuickBooks anyway. All right, so what I normally do on a given webinar is make a time entry, make an expense entry, and make an invoice and receive a payment. So I'll actually do that. I want to show you a few things that are different now. So first thing I'm going to show you is under System. We added this accounting isolation. So this is a new feature, and you can set it up where you're either invoicing by the client, which is always the original way we always invoiced. So if you want to invoice many projects or matters on one invoice, you can do that if the isolation is for the client. So that basically means that you can invoice many things on one invoice for a client, many matters or projects. You could change that to project level accounting, which would mean that you would only invoice each project separately and only receive payments for each project separately. So even though this is set for client, you can see here, if you read the notes underneath, it says select the accounting isolation by default. You could apply a particular accounting isolation when you create a client. So if I want to actually override this for a particular client, I could do that also. So this is set for the firm. Let's take a look at a client. I don't know if I already did one, so let's take a look at Alan. And let's edit him. So the accounting isolation for him is set for the default for the firm, which would actually be here. So I could set it to this. So if I change the default for the firm, it'll follow that. Whatever the firm default is, it'll follow that. If I want to specifically always make it the client accounting, I could set it that way. Or if I want project accounting, always, I could set it that way. So let's actually switch this to project. So I just changed this top client to have project level accounting. So now if I want to go ahead and invoice that client, if I choose Alan, you're going to see here that I can never choose the client. This one at the top would be only the non-project related entries. This would be only the contingency project, only the flat fee, and only the new project test project. So I can never take all the projects and put them on one invoice. So if you want to see the difference again, let's go back here to client. And let's edit him. I can make it either the firm default or client, either one. They would both be the same. So actually, I'll pick that one. And now if I go to make an invoice, you'll see a difference there, that I'm able to actually choose the client, and all those separate projects won't even show separately. So look at Alan, now you don't see the breakdown of the separate projects. So if I wanted to click him here and hit continue, I'm able to choose any project. So I have non-project related and new project test. That's one of the projects, right? So I could put everything on one invoice. So again, I'll switch it back here. So you'll see that you have to learn that people will ask. This was something that was asked for a long time. People were saying, I want to invoice only one project at a time. The other thing you get out of that is that you can see just the balance for that project. Actually, I don't want to switch it for the whole firm. I just wanted to switch it just for that one client. So let's go back to the client. Okay. So that's basically it. So I wanted to show that there. So let me just show you again if I wanted to create an invoice. There you see them again. And then I would only choose one. And all I can invoice is just that one. So you can't put more than one on an invoice. So that takes care of that. And again, if you wanted to go ahead and invoice somebody, so remember that's the same type of things we do with the ABA codes, that you could turn them on for the whole firm. That's in the general section, so I'll show that also. So I have the ABA turned on, but for each and every, and trust accounting and leads, all those are turned on. But for each and every client, if I want to, I could turn them off. So if I go back to the clients, we'll use the same one again. So ABA code is here. So for him, I have this customer set as on always. So if you use the default, we could do that also. Or you could set it to no all the time or yes. So right now it's set to yes, always using the ABA codes. I actually have another client that's set up that doesn't use the ABA codes. I actually call it non-ABA client. And you'll see here, it's set to no all the time. So take a look if I go to make a time entry and I choose this client is fine. You'll see here I have the billable service item and task code. So those are the ABA codes. Here's the A codes. That's for service item. And then the task code would follow with the task code items. If I went and I chose that non-ABA client, then I don't have the task code anymore. I only have the billable service item, and these are the regular items right here. They don't start with the A. They're just the regular service items loading up here. So I wanted to show you that with the ABA stuff. So let's go ahead and make a time entry. And everybody remembers the rates, hopefully. So you can have billing rates by the item, by the project, by the client, or by the user. So right now I'm using a service item called conference that has a rate of $400, and you'll see the rate here, service item rate. If I went and I chose consulting, that doesn't have a rate associated with it, and it'll bill at the user rate because my project or client also don't have rates. So that's the way the rates work, and you can always see what you're billing by right here. And you can calculate the time here. So you have the timer at the top. It'll round to the nearest 6 minutes, which is what I have set as my rounding. I could calculate the time here from the from and to time. So I could put in 9 to 5 if I want. And there's my 8 hours. I could also put in military time. And there you go. So you could use military, you could use AM and PM, or you could simply just type in the time right there. So I could do this if I want, hours and minutes or hours in decimal. Either one works. It converts it to decimal. So there's my entry. If I want to leave it as billable, I could mark it as yes. If I mark it as no, then I could decide, do I want to include it on the invoice or not. So right now I'll leave it as yes. So that's my first entry. And you can see it on the right-hand side of my screen also. Let's create an expense entry. This time I'm actually going to use the new beta expense entry screen, which lets you load many expenses at once. So this is a multi-expense screen. and I'll choose the same non-ABA client. And then I could choose an expense, and at any time I could add a new expense if I ever want to. And then you enter a description and a quantity if you want, or a cost right there, and there's my entries. It's very, very easy to do. It's very, very quick. It saved the entry, and you can go ahead and add as many of these as you want. So now if I want to create an invoice, so here's all my entries. Decide what entry I want. I can uncheck them if I don't want all of them, and I could just pick today's if I want. So I'll take that time, that expense. All the time is listed in the expenses. I chose that and that, and I could hit create pre-bill. So here's my pre-bill, and of course if I want to edit the pre-bill, I can go ahead and just click